So, a few days ago I ran into a newer webtoon that goes by the name Parallel City. Parallel City is about a world where doppelgangers are starting to pass over from a parallel universe. And the reason for this is because their world is being destroyed, because it's being plagued by a virus along with the mass hysteria. As for how they're crossing over, it's because of a special device that is used, but we don't have much information on how it specifically works or what it's called. What we learn is that the doppelgangers are trying to kill their counterpart selves that reside in this world and take their place. And from what I've seen, this has something to do with the headaches that these characters suffer. And the reason for this, it has to do with two of the same person not being able to exist in the same world. The headaches being a warning of some sorts. We're introduced to the main character Min, whose first encounter with a doppelganger is when he's going to a butcher shop after a graduation party, and he witnesses the butcher shop owner being killed by his counterpart self. After struggling to escape, he comes back with the police to find the original butcher's body isn't there, and the doppelganger has fully taken his place. The reason for this has to do with when a doppelganger kills their counterpart, or vice versa, their body will disappear. But let's backtrack to how the story starts off. The story starts off with the main character Min in his classroom with his friends discussing their test scores, and they're approached by Min's best friend Jung, who's talking about how he wants to visit an abandoned house in the woods. While Min is writing him off as crazy and says he won't go, Jung decides to go by himself, and despite Min's effort to stop him from going, he says he never stopped Min from doing anything dangerous, so he expects Min to do the same. Following this, we jump to a news report of Jung's disappearance, but the whole thing is strange because his body wasn't found, but his clothes were found at the bottom of a cliff in the position of someone who fell, but there's no body. 344 days later, Jung is back, and he's questioned by his friends about what he remembers. But he says he has amnesia, and the only thing he remembers is waking up in his mother's arms when he reappeared. Throughout the story, we get a background view of the TVs talking about doppelgangers and their possibilities of existing, saying things along the lines of meeting your doppelganger aligns with the signs of death or something bad will happen. This being more symbolic than anything because we are reminded of when Min, after witnessing the butcher shop owner die to the hands of his doppelganger, one of Min's co-workers, Han's son, ends up telling Min he believes him about the whole doppelganger incident, even if the police don't, because he's seen his doppelganger, seeing him when he was at the crosswalk across the street in a crowd, saying how he wants to meet him. Following this event, Han's son dies in an accident after once again seeing his doppelganger and running into the street to be hit by a truck. Again, the principles of there being only one counterpart allowed to exist comes into play, Han's son's body disappearing from the funeral home. This re-invites the police who were involved the first time when Min tried to get help against the butcher's doppelganger. The same cop ends up showing up, and after at first believing Min was just pulling a joke, he starts to fall into the belief that maybe everything Min said wasn't a joke. After all this, it's too late because he too soon falls victim to his doppelganger. What I really like about the story is the way it plays out in trying to discover the whole mystery behind what's really happening, because it all stems back to almost a year ago with Min's best friend's disappearance. The story is a sci-fi but implements the mystery genre in the case of learning how and why doppelgangers are suddenly appearing. When we do get answers, it leads to big breakthroughs, such as what's really happening, relating to why there's a doppelganger passing over and why the counterparts need to kill each other. We're watching characters thinking they're talking to their friends, but in reality, it's their doppelganger. This concept being fully utilized when Min finally meets his doppelganger, his first encounter being a violent one with him attacking him out of nowhere, ending with Min eventually escaping, just to be attacked again later at his house. Min from this point starts to run into weird occurrences because his doppelganger is of course impersonating him, but the people who Min knows doesn't know about this whole doppelganger thing. This is what I mean by characters not realizing who they're actually communicating with. As the story progresses, with Min becoming more and more desperate for answers, he eventually becomes desperate enough to go to a community or club of some sorts that focuses on the topic of doppelgangers to see if they could be of any help. This being where he's going to meet someone named Noah, who's gonna get answers from regarding his doppelganger. Learning things like the reason for headaches has to do with there only being one of each person allowed in the world, and if this continues without one of them disappearing, it's randomly going to happen and one of them will just disappear. Min also gets insight into there being two Earths, Earth 1 and Earth 2. In the other world, there's a pandemic and the world is falling apart. Scientists create a device so people can cross over into this world being called Earth 2. We get answers to many questions involving why this is happening and what's going to happen if one of the doppelgangers doesn't get terminated, and answers along the lines of the mystery behind Jung. Like I also said before, the reason for this crossover has to do with a pandemic, so the issue of just doppelgangers isn't the only problem. There are also people with the disease crossing over as well. It's only a matter of time before Earth 1 spreads the disease if they keep crossing over to Earth 2. Will Min be able to kill his doppelganger before it's too late, or will he be at the mercy of the universe choosing who will reside in this world? As of right now, the story isn't terribly deep because there are only 15 chapters plus 5 fast pass chapters. From what I've read so far, I really do enjoy this story enough to make me spend coins because it makes me excited to know what's going to happen next and not just keep me on the edge of my seat, but also trying to help me discover if my theories and guesses are ever correct. If the synopsis along with the explanation of what's currently happening in the story interests you, I do suggest you check out this webtoon. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Do not forget to like and subscribe, check out my Patreon, join my Discord. I do have more videos like this on the way. I I just get a little bit bored sometimes of just having to like, you know, edit it all together and just script it. So I'm sorry for like, you know, sometimes I just feel like the videos are just coming out super slow. I am just in a transition phase right now of getting more comfortable with writing scripts and everything else. So other than all that, I hope you guys enjoy. Do not forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, all that extra stuff. Peace out.